Good evening, this is the Northern Sun Experience. I'm David Brown, and a new power may be emerging in NSIC volleyball. Southwest Minnesota State entered the NCAA Central Region tournament with a 21-9 overall record, but an 0-5 mark against Minnesota Duluth and Concordia St. Paul. Now, those are the top two teams in the conference, and if the Mustangs had any shot of advancing, those two giants would undoubtedly stand in the way. We'll start the all-NSIC semifinals of the Central Region tournament, with the Mustangs taking on the Golden Bears, winners of the last 7 NCAA championships. SMSU up 2-1, looking for the knockout in set 4. Aisha Oden with the soft touch over the net into no man's land, and the Mustangs have a 3-point lead. Now it's just a 1-point lead, and Concordia stays alive. The block by Heather Schiller and Emma Lang were tied at 23. Now in sudden death, 26-25 Golden Bears when Abby Thyssen gets the cross-court kill. We're tied at 26. It gets to match point, and off the serve, Concordia's Riley Hansen hits it out, and the dynasty is over. Southwest Minnesota State ends Concordia's historic run with a 3-1 victory. The other semifinal pit Wayne State against the host school Minnesota Duluth. Persistence pays off here as Katie Ledwell gets the kill. Bulldogs looking for the sweep. Back come the Wildcats. Michaela Mesty off the left side. Wayne State was hanging in there, but it would be too much UMD in the end. Mariah Scharf with the hammer off the left side, and no, this is not a replay, but Scharf gets another kill from that angle. Minnesota Duluth sweeps Wayne State 3-0. So that would set up the Central Region Championship between SMSU and UMD. Great volley in the fourth set. Katie Ledwell will eventually get the kill just inside the line, but the Bulldogs are trailing. Next play, SMSU strikes back as Aisha Oden throws the hammer down for a 6-point lead. Later, Oden gets another kill down the middle. Mustangs proven they're no one-hit wonder within striking distance of that championship. But the Bulldogs would not go down without a fight. Sydney Mock slides in off the right side for the kill, yet in the end, the Mustangs would do the unthinkable. Abby Thyssen goes same side for the match-winning kill. SMSU takes down the top 2 seeds in the conference and 2 of the top 3 teams in the nation. They defeat Minnesota Duluth 3-1 to win the Central Region Championship. So the Mustangs head to the NCAA Elite 8 for the first time in school history. They take on Sonoma State out of California next Thursday, December 4th in Louisville, Kentucky at 1:30 Central. Now, should the Mustangs advance, semifinals would be on Friday the 5th, and the championship would be on Saturday the 6th. We'll hear from SMSU right before their Elite 8 matchup on next week's episode of the Northern Sun Experience. Well, from one Central Region tournament to another, the cross-country version was held this past weekend in Wayne, Nebraska, with the top individuals and teams qualifying for nationals. Let's start with the men's side. More than 140 runners competing in the 10K race, neck and neck between several Augustana competitors, but in the end it was junior Harold Carbo coming across the finish line first with a time of 30:36.7, more than 6 seconds ahead of second place. Here's a look at the team results, and Carbo's finish helped Augustana land the top spot for the 3rd straight year. The Vikings were one of 3 NSIC teams in the top 5, with Sioux Falls finishing in 2nd and Minnesota State Moorhead in 4th. All of those teams also qualified for the national tournament in Louisville, Kentucky on December 6th. Let's check out the women's 6K, nearly 200 competitors in this one. Once again, the top 2 NSIC runners, Samantha Rivard from Minnesota Duluth and Sasha Hoven from Northern State, were nearly stride and stride. But in the end, it would be Rivard who would take home the championship with a time of 21:05.73, nearly 15 seconds ahead of the 3rd place Hoven. And here are your team results on the women's side. The Bulldogs take 1st place with Augustana in 2nd and Winona State in 4th. Those 3 NSIC teams also qualified for the Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky next week. To football now, and like its cross-country team, Minnesota Duluth also hoping to emerge victorious. Now, despite a perfect 11-0 regular season record, the first round of the playoffs appeared to be a tall task. The Bulldogs hosted the defending D2 champions from Northwest Missouri State on Saturday. First quarter, UMD strikes first. Drew Bauer to Taylor Grant's spectacular left-handed touchdown. Missed the extra point, but it's still 6-0. But the Bearcats would score 21 unanswered. First, it's this 2-yard run by the Zen Master, Phil Jackson. Later in the second, Northwest Missouri State blocks the punt. There's a scramble for the ball, and eventually Coleman Adema Schulte returns it 3 yards for the score, 14-6 Bearcats at the break. Third quarter, Kyle Zimmerman takes it on the QB keeper from 29 yards out, 21-6 Northwest Missouri State after 3. But the Bulldogs make a furious fourth quarter comeback. Drew Bauer keeps it for the 14-yard score, cutting it to 21-13. Later in the fourth, Bauer hits Bo Bofferding in stride. The two-point conversion's no good, but now it's 21-19. Then, with less than 30 seconds to go, Bauer takes it once again, 19 fourth-quarter points, an incredible comeback, and Minnesota Duluth survives a scare, 25-21. So the Bulldogs move on to take on the number 1 seed in Super Region 3, Ouachita Baptist from Arkansas. That game kicks off at noon on Saturday, November 29th, down in Arkadelphia. Meanwhile, Minnesota State, as the number 2 seed in the region, got a bye this past weekend. They'll get to work on Saturday as well, hosting number 3 Pittsburgh State. Kickoff for Mankato is scheduled for 1 o'clock Central Time. And one final conference note, Minnesota State gets upset in the Sweet 16 in women's soccer. They lose to Central Missouri 3-2 in overtime on Friday in Summers, Wisconsin. Corey Cronforst and Dana Savino each had goals for the Mavericks, but a Michaela Motory goal in overtime would be the difference. Minnesota State was 22-0 going into the match, but nevertheless, congratulations on a great season for the Mavs. When we come back, basketball season is in full swing. We'll take a look at both conference and non-conference action on the men's side next.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. The basketball season is underway in the Northern Sun, and we'll start with one of the more underrated teams in Northern State. The Wolves were one of only 5 schools to receive first-place votes for their division, and they got an early season conference test last Wednesday against Southwest Minnesota State. Mustangs would keep things close. Mitch Wegg with the hook inside. He led SMSU with 19. But in the second half, Northern's offense would start to click. Mitch White to Carter Evans on the alley-oop. The Wolves are up by 11. Later in the half, some nifty moves by Darren Paterka. Nice bounce down low to Seth Bashand. He had 20 on the night. Now, Bashand couldn't make every basket, but White was there to clean up this mess on the offensive putback. The game would eventually go to overtime, but the Wolves would prevail. 93-88 is your final. In other Wednesday action, Augustana hosted Dakota State. On the break, Daniel Jansen hits the finger roll. He led all scorers with 24. Later in the half, Trojans turn it over. Jordan Spencer's leading the break. He gets it to Alex Richter for the hoop plus the harm. The Vikings were up 16 at that point, and they would roll from there. Augie tops Dakota State 95-51. In Minnesota, Concordia St. Paul hosted Crossroads College. Shea Manley, nice pass to find Nooney Omot for the two-handed flush. Omot had 21 to lead all scorers. In the second half, the Golden Bears would work the outside game as James Healy hits one of his 6 3-pointers on the evening, and Concordia routs Crossroads 108-59. Staying in Minnesota but moving to Friday, Southwest Minnesota State hosted Jamestown. This is Turner Moen with the 3. He led all scorers with 21. And the Mustangs prove they can work it both outside and inside as Joey Bartlett finds Mitch Wegg for the lay-in. Then a little bit later, SMSU works the inbounds play to perfection. MJ Delmore the pick and roll with Carter Kirk, who throws it down. SMSU tops Jamestown 100-71. The top team in the preseason poll, Minnesota State hosting Northland on Friday. Asem Marai eventually corrals this loose ball and gets the lay-in. He had 14 points in just 19 minutes of action. Later, the Mavs show a little bit of defense. The block on one end leads to a fast break, and eventually it'll be an easy lay-in for Mike Busak on the other end. Minnesota State not taking any opponent lightly. They top Northland 82-43. In other Friday action, Bemidji State hosted Mayville State. First half, Brock Lutz, the North Division preseason player of the year, drives to the hole for 2. He had 29 on the night. Later, the Beavers show some defense as DJ Anderson plays pickpocket and goes coast to coast for 2. Great ball movement later in the half from Bemidji State. Corey Rizzo threads the needle to Alexander Satley for 2 plus the foul. Bemidji State tops Mayville State 77-66. Moving ahead to Saturday, Winona State hosting Cardinal Stritch from Wisconsin. This is Isaiah Gray driving down the lane for the lefty lay-in. He paced the Warriors with 24. In the second half, Winona State would pull away. Muhammad Ali Ben Ammar, the Tunisia native, throws down the two-handed slam, and the Warriors top Cardinal Stritch 87-58. We saw Mayville State lose to Bemidji State. Let's see how they fared Sunday against Minot State. First half, the Beavers work it down low. Some nice post moves by Lamont Prosser for the reverse lay-in. He had 21. Later in the half, Prosser with the cross-court pass to Michael Pello for the three, one of his 3 triples on the evening. But it was Prosser's work inside that would put this game away. Minot State tops Mayville State 74-57. On Monday, Upper Iowa hosted Missouri Western State. This is Carson Parker driving inside for the easy lay-in. And then a little bit later, it'll be Jimmy Roth taking the handoff and not letting anyone stop him on his way to the rack. The Peacocks' quickness would be too much in this one. Nice pass from Jace Hanna to Josh Weber for 2. Grant Roth would lead Upper Iowa with 15, including 2 off the glass right here. Peacocks top Missouri Western State 82-70. We started with conference action, and that's how we'll end it. Wayne State at Augustana on Monday. Jamie Pearson gets it to Patrick Kurth inside, and the Wildcats have an early lead. Second half, though, Augie would take control as Daniel Jansen hits from the left elbow. He had a career-high 33. Casey Schilling would also contribute 17, as Augustana tops Wayne State 89-71. When we come back, we'll switch gears to women's basketball, where Northern State hope to remain undefeated.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. The Northern State women's basketball team came into this season as the preseason favorite to win the North Division, and so far so good. The Wolves have backed things up with a perfect non-conference record. They put that to the test last Friday against Black Hills State. First half, Rachel Krogman posts up and finds a wide-open Megan Muchler for 2. Great ball movement early. Later in the half, Lauren Diedrich drives in from the left side for the lay-in, but crisp passing will define the Wolves this season. Krogman to Sadie Stotesbury for 2 plus the foul. Northern State remains undefeated with a 68-45 win over Black Hills State. On Saturday, Sioux Falls hosted the South Dakota School of Mines. This is Taylor Varsho with the 3 from the right elbow. Later, the Cougars work things in transition as Varsho gets the easy lay-in on the other end. She had 14 on the night. Second half, the Coup would pull away as J.C. Ulmer hits the 3. She led USF with 17 as they topped the School of Mines 69-55. Minot State hosted presentation on Sunday. This is Sarah Lester with the jumper from the right elbow for the Beavers. Later in the half, more from Lester inside as she gets the lefty lay-in. Great movement all day for Minot as Alex Haley hits from the free throw line here. She led the Beavers with 17, and they beat presentation 78-56. In other Sunday action, UMary hosted Nebraska Kearney. Great play on both ends by the Marauders. First, Hannah Larson blocks the shot on one end. She'll eventually corral the ball, bring it up, and then find Brittany Dietz down low for the easy layup plus the foul. Dietz had 31 on the night. Later, UMary works the post as Sloan Turner hits from inside. Yet despite a great offensive night, the defense could not stop Nebraska Kearney, and they would pull away in the second half 94-84. One of the few early conference showdowns on Monday, Augie hosting Wayne State. This is Millie Niggling with a reverse lay-in. She had 18 on the night. Second half, Augie trying to come back. Shantiva Ashley gets it to Logan O'Farrell, who hits the short jumper in the lane. But the Wildcats would simply be too much as Maggie Schulte drives inside for 2. Wayne State tops Augustana 71-57. When we come back, our Under the Northern Sun feature spotlights Northern State University.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. It's time for Under the Northern Sun, where we shine the spotlight on one of our member schools. Tonight, it's Northern State University in Aberdeen, South Dakota, where football player Aaron Mayo takes you on a tour of campus.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Aaron Mayo. I play football here at Northern State, and I've been entrusted with the duty of taking you guys on a tour of our school today. I'm also Northern State's Student Senate President, so I kind of know a couple of these things. The Barnett Center, this is home to Northern State Athletics. It has basketball court, weight room, Hall of Fame room where alumni meet, pretty much all the essentials that you need to have a successful athletic program. So that's what I'll be showing you to start out with right now. Here we are in the Walks Arena, home of Don Meyer Court, where we play basketball games here. We have track games, we have wrestling meets, but this is the place where we have the highest attendance in all of the Division II in terms of basketball, with men and women's, I believe. So this is one of the nicest facilities that you'll see. So here we have the Northern State weight training facility, where we do most of our strength and conditioning for all of our athletic teams. It's where a lot of the dreams become realities up here. This is state of the art. This was recently built around 2 years ago. A lot of donation money put into it. I believe over $3 million was put into it. And basically what this came to be is we needed a necessity for a bigger weight room, because years before we were training down in a room that was probably 1/10 this size. So we needed to build this, and this was built a couple years ago just to service everybody. Treadmills, ellipticals, pretty much everything that you need, both free weight and on the machine. This is open to not just athletes, but all of our students, and we have certain hours that we're working on right now to make sure that everybody's aware of that they can lift whenever they want. So we're currently sitting in the Northern State Student Center right now. This is a place of many purposes. Pretty much what we have all around here are offices for our administration, student affairs office, admissions, and we also have a couple offices for our smaller organizations around here, where we have multicultural services, my student senate office, we have honors, healthcare stuff back there. Over there we have the Centennial Room. So this place serves many purposes, not just for students, but for some administration. So this lower floor of the Student Center here is used usually for a meeting place for a lot of students. As you can see, we have a lot of couches in this area. My office right over here across from the mailbox. And we have a place where you can eat down there, which we'll probably go down to in just a second. But right here we have the NSU Wolf Shop. This is where you can buy a lot of the NSU gear if you're just coming into town and you want to look good. We got a lot of the books that you buy for students, but not just books for classes. We have just normal books that you can read, and just many other little things that you can buy. So right now I'm standing in the Northern State Tech Center. This is underground part of our MJ building. This is where we have most of our classes upstairs. But down here they have the Tech Center, quite a few of them. And pretty much what we do is our teachers, if they need to teach something online or take a test or anything like that, they'll usually come down here. Because students will generally use the library on their own if they need to go use computers up there as well. But this is, sometimes students can still come down here and use the computer, and like I said, teachers use it. But we have not just that, we also have a place around the corner where people can get their computers fixed if they have any problems.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC. You're watching the Northern Sun Experience.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Well, it's time for DB's Picks, the best of the best, the top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC. At number 5, we head to Bemidji, where some crisp passing leads to an easy bucket for the Beavers. Corey Rizzo threads the needle to Alexander Satley for 2 plus the foul. Check it out one more time. Some pinpoint accuracy to find Satley for the bucket. Bemidji State would top Mayville State 77-66, while this play checks in at number 5. For number 4, we go to Bismarck, where Hannah Larson shows her all-around skill. She gets the block on one end against Nebraska Kearney, and eventually will find Brittany Dietz on the other end down low for the hoop plus the foul. A block and assist all in a matter of seconds. Check it out again. The Marauders would eventually lose to Nebraska Kearney, but plays like that from the sophomore will eventually lead to victories. For now, Mary will just have to accept number 4 on my top plays of the week. For number 3, we go to Marshall, Minnesota, where the pick and roll is worked to perfection. Carter Kirk sets the pick and eventually gets it from MJ Delmore for the slam. Check it out one more time. Beautiful execution by the Mustangs. They would go on to defeat Jamestown 100-71, and Kirk's two-handed slam lands at number 3. For number 2, we head to Duluth, where the Bulldogs show some fight through adversity. This Drew Bauer 4-yard run with less than 30 seconds to go capped off a 19-point fourth-quarter comeback in the first round of the playoffs against Northwest Missouri State. Minnesota Duluth had yet to trail by more than 11 points all season long, but they found a way to keep their season alive. They'll move on to play number 1 Wachita Baptist, but this comeback checks in at number 2. And for number 1, it has to be the Southwest Minnesota State volleyball team for winning the NCAA Central Region tournament. The Mustangs topped the 7-time defending champions from Concordia St. Paul in the region's semifinals, then upset the top seed from Minnesota Duluth in the championship. SMSU had a 21-9 record going in, but they were combined 0-5 against those top 2 teams this season before prevailing when it mattered most. The Mustangs will move on to the Elite 8 December 4th in Louisville, Kentucky, and they also head into the holiday weekend with the top performance of the past week. Once again, a thank you to all NSIC member schools for their contributions to this week's show. For all of us at Midco Sports Network, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the Northern Sun Experience.